go live now. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Microphone check. Excellent. Levels look good. Okay, cool. Hello, and welcome to the program. This is the Black Ponderer. I'm the host, Neil Trotter. And welcome. Hello, Pelicans 1, 2, 3. Welcome to the program. Yeah, this is Black Ponder. In case you're new and you're watching later on, and you're like, "What's what's this all about?" Black Ponder is a YouTube channel. Obviously, we're on YouTube where we talk about philosophy. Most of the time, I don't even know if it's most of the time anymore. Like often, we are talking about texts, philosophical texts. We just recently did one on Plato. Yeah, we do all the stuffy, traditional canon philosophers. Socrates. Epicurus. I don't think I've ever done a video on him, but Immanuel Kant. Jean-Paul Sartre. Simone de Beauvoir, all those, the Western canon. We also do Eastern stuff too, but we do a lot of that. But we also do some free balling where we do just general topics, and that's fun. And so that's what these live streams are, where we just do general topics about live stream, and it's more or less about kind of just talking lecture format, and it's just kind of more of a hanging out, chilling. Imagine you're at a bar or like a lounge, nightclub, but you're not like on the dance floor, because maybe you are, but you're like maybe on the part of the club that's kind of chill. Like you get the seats are there and maybe the light is low and people are having the conversations. It's a chill out. We're just hanging out, we're having a good time. So with that in mind, it's more free balling, and so we don't have to like stick to the topic, and we don't have to, we could just interject and say all types of things. So we're just hanging out. But I do have a topic, and that is award shows, I think. So we could talk about that. And yeah, that's about it for the intro, the context. So we're just gonna talk about award shows, and I don't know. That's just something that I find interesting, and some other people tend to talk to me about them. And I'm like, I don't really care much about award shows, to be completely honest with you. I never really did. Maybe there was a time when I was a little kid, I used to watch them with my mama, but I never really cared. But let's talk about that. I can read you my description here for the video. It is hello, Jeremy Borno. The coveted Oscars. Oh, the coveted Oscars. The distinguished Grammys, right? The honored Emmys, the esteemed Tony Awards, right? Your typical like big name award ceremonies, right? For the entertainment industry. And you also got all these offshoots, like let's not forget the MTV Music Video Awards, right? That's what, and then you got the Country Music Television. I mean, that's a whole thing. CMT, right? I think it takes place in Nashville, right? Because that's the home of country music. And let's not forget the Black Entertainment Tonight, Black BET Awards, Black Entertainment Television. They got their own award show too. And there's all types of award shows. There's like the Video Game Award Show. I mean, just it keeps going on, right? And just pick one, and I was gonna say, even like it's funny. I paused because I was kind of thinking, processing. I would even like go toward like Olympics. That's different, right? But I don't know. It's kind of the same. We could talk about that. we could talk about that. Most people don't give a damn about awards, including me. Okay. I guess that's probably true right now. I think maybe it wasn't true back a while ago, years ago, but I think nowadays maybe it is true. But mainstream media loves to push that on us, huh? I guess I spent some quality time with the Chappelle Show's Player Hater Ballers, Player Haters Ball. I forgot that skit. I really did. I've seen every episode of the Chappelle Show. That was so long ago. I forgot. I remember when he was, doing a parody of Lil Jon. That was funny. The OK, and of course, like the blind black racist KKK member. He did all types of shit, right? Those are some funny ass skits, but that was back in the day, right? But I forgot that one. I think awards are used to stoke egos with winners, thinking they are relevant. Yeah, there's that. So I think Um, yeah, I have some thoughts. Remember when they gave Best Rap Album to Malcolm Moore instead of Kendrick? Oh, no, I don't remember because I don't pay attention. But that doesn't surprise me, right? And we could definitely talk about, yeah. And see, that's the type of shit, like, yeah, that makes sense to me. Like, award shows would do that kind of stuff, right? And that's why I don't watch the award show, you know. It's funny because somebody always brings up something like, oh, this one where they shouldn't have. Like, of course it did, because it's the Emmys, it's the Oscars, it's the Grammys. Like, that's what they do. Oh, we can talk about why that is. Even Macklemore apologized and said it was weird. Then why the hell did he accept it? He should have been like, nah, take it back. Well, of course he ain't got to do that because that would be a bad business move, right? You know, there's the whole decor and like gentleman, you know, sportsmanship type of stuff. Like, you know, I'm going to honor the institution. But you could have been like, you know what? I'm cool. I don't accept this award, but of course he's got to do that. I just bring it up because I remember when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, that whole crazy thing, right? And I didn't watch, as usual, I don't watch the award shows. That was the Oscars. And people were like, oh, that was crazy. I was like, what happened? What happened? And I was like, yeah, Will Smith, he slapped Chris Rock because Chris Rock insulted, you know, his wife. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I didn't know. And you know, and then I heard that. I'm like, well, you know, people are like, you care? Like, no, not really. Why? Because it's an award show. And like, you know, and honestly, that kind of falls in line with like the award show. Like, the award show. Like, yeah, I can see that happening. I know people were surprised. I'm like, no, I could kind of see that. You know? I mean, that's another reason why I don't watch the award shows, because it kind of that tracks. So I think everybody was blowing that up for a while, and that's what I was really thinking in my mind. Like, yeah, award shows they're just crap. I mean, they're crap for. I mean, there are many reasons why. All right, but I mean, you know, to me, like, that's like typical award show shenanigans, right? Awards have nothing to do with general public's taste. Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. There's a structural disconnect. Do you agree? Yeah, I think just award shows just reiterate like power structures. You know, and of course I'm always going to go there because this is the Black Ponderer, and you know, award shows reinforce like societal powers. Like, you know, I hate to say it, but it's true, because it's, you know, I mean, I would like to see an award show that like debunks that. You know, I think award shows just uphold the status quo. And, you know, I'll throw out words like patriarchy and white supremacy and, you know, that kind of stuff. Heteronormativity, like capitalism. Like, these are things that the award shows, these established institutions, you know, they uphold. Right? And that's what their purpose is. Their purpose is not, like, awarding the best person. And then you gotta like argue like, well, can you even do that when it comes to art? No, not really. But yeah, I would say that. And a perfect example is like what Pelicans just brought up. Is like Macklemore won instead of Kendrick. Yeah, because why? Right? Because, you know, of course they're gonna give it to a white guy. Right? They're not gonna get, and it goes beyond that, right? Because Kendrick is talking about, like, you know, he actually talks about, he has deep analysis, social critique about racism, right? About sexism. He talks to a lot of his rap is about toxic masculinity, whereas Macklemore is just, you know, you know, Vanilla Ice 2.0. I'm sorry, did I say that? Did I say did it? Maybe I'm sure a lot of people just, but he's like kind of upholding that whole. I'm not surprised that they would give it to like a white person, right? I mean, that's just how awards. That's how they do it. Now they're gonna give it to a black person if the black person's social critique isn't that far in depth, like Drake, right? Like they're gonna give it to Drake because Drake just raps about like, access and like luxury, he most of his raps he's just complaining about how rich he is, right? And how much access he is. It's got like that whole Superman angle where Superman is all moody and shit because he's like got so much power he doesn't know what to do with it. He's like constantly walking around afraid to kill anybody, and that's Drake, like when he raps, and that's he's kind of upholding that whole capitalist power structure, like, and so that's why he got I think he won the award for Scorpio. I think the album was, and Drake is cool. Like I listen to Drake. Like, I mean, I like his beats, but I don't think he has much depth, right? But it's good music to dance to and move your head to. He got some good beats. He got good flow. He's not a good singer, but who cares? He's cool. But I mean, his type of music falls perfectly in line with what the music industry wants. Right? And then, hello Benji. Years ago, the band 9 Inch Nails was performing at the Grammys, and in the middle of the performance, an airline commercial started to play during the TV broadcast of the band's performance. Yeah, that tracks. That tracks, because a lot of the award shows is about selling you shit, right? So, hello. I don't think awards should be taken seriously because elites and status quo will adore however they want. Considering the trashy economy, we are disillusioned with the glamour of the academies. Yeah. And you just gotta look at what. And so the thing about it is, there's many things that I would like to bring up because people will complain. They'll be like, "Man, this movie should have won," and I'm thinking like, why? Of course it's not going to win. Don't you understand? Like, it's not going to win because it doesn't fall within the criteria of elitism, right? It doesn't, like what Jeremy Bordeaux said. Like, it's almost like you don't want him to win because it's like, if it's not winning, then like, they're questioning the status quo, right? Of course, like, there's only a certain kind of movie if we're talking about the Oscars. There's only a certain kind of film that wins the Oscars, right? That tells you something right there. It's like, it's not about the best, it's about fitting a kind of aesthetic. And it's not just that, you gotta also have the movie shown at a certain number of theaters. You gotta meet a certain criteria, and you need a certain level of finance, right, to even be eligible to qualify for the Oscars, right? So I mean, that's the other thing, right? But if you look at, some people argue like, well, comedies never win Oscars. It's like, of course they don't, right? Because that's not what the criteria of an Oscar, which is, but to that point is like, I'm not saying that, so then some people would fall in line and say, yeah, because ultimately comedies are easier to make and they're not as skillful as a drama, which is like, that's bullshit, right? Of course, like, one could even argue comedies are even more difficult to make than dramas, right? Because comedy is a skill, that's, but it's just like, it's how you fall into that trap where it's like, you feel like only a certain kind of movie is like great or amazing, and then there's all these other movies that are also very good, but this is public perception. It's like, oh, those movies are good because they're not Oscar worthy. Right? Like, no. And let's see. And then Pelican says, yeah, Strange Fruit was never going to win a Grammy. Although, strangely, Time gave it a big award in 1999. Okay. The criteria they put is narrow and supremacist as hell. And then, yeah, no, it's true. That's all true. I mean, think about it, all right? And yeah, you just look at, it's just like crazy. Like, if, I look at an actor like Denzel Washington. Great actor. Great, awesome actor, and you consider like what he won. He's like I think he's a 2-time Oscar winner. He might be even more. I stopped paying attention, but he won an Oscar for Glory, where he played a slave, right? Which is an amazing. I'm not saying he did a very good job with that role. And then he won another Oscar, and that was for supporting actor, I think. And then he won a Best Actor award where he played a gangster. he played in Training Day, right? I think that he won an award. Sorry, I'm still here. Don't. My camera is tripping, but okay, there we go. I'm still here. Yeah, there I go. It might be overheating. I might need to move the light. Guys, I'm still here. I'm gonna switch out my camera. It's gonna be lower quality, but bear with me. All right. Jeremy Borno says, I hate the Oscars. Emphasize too much on drama and support stereotypes. Screw them. Well, you just gotta take them for what they are. Excuse me. Just a few seconds here. I'm gonna switch out the camera. We still here. I'll just get properties, USB, ProStream. Yeah, that's fine. You got my do that. Why is it cropped like that? Let me see. It's a low res camera. Let me do something right quick. Nope. Let me do this. Race. Cool. You're seeing the behind the scenes. I'm going to add. Ignore the man behind the curtain. Okay, I guess that's just how it's gonna be. Let's see how I can make this. I don't know why it's such a low crop, but whatever. Let's see here. How could I make this a little prettier? I guess we could just do that. Yeah, my GoPro be tripping. And you get to see a little chat box within a chat box. It's fun. Anyway, Yeah, we'll just use my web camera and we'll just be happy with that. So there's a few chats here. I hate that the Oscars emphasize too much drama and support stereo. Oh, yeah, well, I read. I cannot understand in the life of me why Beyonce won so many Grammys. More than singers Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston. Mariah and Whitney are still more successful than Bey, but the Grammys and her daddy privileged her. Okay. Yeah, we could talk about that. And please, anybody wants to interject. Hopefully you can see me. And also let's see, I think there might be some lag issues now. Let me see. No? There might be, yeah, let me know if you're experiencing lag with my audio. Not sure if you are. But yeah, oh yeah, so Denzel Washington, he's playing like an American slave, and he's played a gangster, and of course he's played many other roles, like Malcolm X. Right? Why didn't he win an award for that? I think he probably deserved an award for that. Yeah, he's played many kinds of roles, right? But the Oscars awarded him for being a runaway slave. He wasn't a runaway. He was a slave that served in the Civil War. And then he was this gangster, right? This gangster, you know, this corrupt cop, you know, basically. So, which really falls in line with stereotypical blackness, right? You know? And you know, I remember also, if you remember Halle Berry, I remember she won the Oscar for A Monsters Ball. And if you watch that movie and you see the role that she plays there, it's very stereotypical. It reinforces a lot of female, black women stereotypes, I would say. Not to say like she didn't do a good job. She was a very good actor, but why that role? Like she played in other good roles. Like, what about Boomerang? I thought that was pretty good. Yeah, but that's a comedy, so of course that's going to disqualify you right there. And then it's all, you know, you just keep going with these reinforces of stereo. And then I remember the last debacle was what was it? It was a musical, but I remember it was a movie called Moonlight, which was about queer men growing up in the ghetto, specifically one queer, and it's a great film, right? And there was another movie, which was a musical. I forgot what it was called, which almost won, right? You know, they gave it the award. Then they did like we accidentally gave the award to the wrong one. It goes to Moonlight. They like did that shit last minute, and it's like, oh, okay, you're gonna give the movies that break the stereotypes of the award, but you gotta do it in this really half-ass way. It's like, I don't know. I just feel like it's always something, right? It's always something with these award shows. But let's respond to. So your Jeremy Borno saying it seems Hollywood just view black people worthy as being slaves, hence the whites. Yeah, exactly. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. They just, you know, it's kind of just this reiteration of the, you know, the status quo, right? And if maybe a black person would play in a role that doesn't meet certain established norms, like, you know, a historical. We know the history of black people, right? It doesn't, and of course, like they represent the slave in this heroic way because it kind of, you know, it's not very thought provoking, right? The Oscars are not about that at all. That's all I'm saying. So I think that the award shows are more about reinforcing the status quo and like the mainstream thought and it's not really about highlighting like alternative out of box ways of thinking or like critical analysis of social commentary, right? Which honestly, like art is that's one of the coolest things about art, that it can provide that. But these award shows aren't about that at all. Yeah, that's what it is. Pelican says La La Land. That's what it was. La La Land was supposed to be Moonlight, so yeah, they gave it because the whole thing was, I remember, like everybody was like, this movie Moonlight should win, but everybody's like, well, of course they got to give it to La La Land because that's like a typical Oscar style of movie, and of course it won at first. Everybody was like, yeah, that makes sense. And then, like, at the last minute, they're like, oops, we did a boo-boo. We got to give it to Moonlight. Because everybody knows you got that hashtag Oscars so white. Like, everybody's already understanding this. So the way they responded to that, that's what I think. The way the Oscars responded to that was like, oh, we need to, like, kind of shake it up because people are starting to catch on to this. So I think it might have been, like, a last-minute decision, like, let's just give it to, so people don't like keep. But it was too late. It's like, I think I don't know. I don't. Every time I see movies that win Oscars, and they're good movies, but I mean, I think there's better movies out there. Just like what Jeremy Borno was saying about what was it, Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey. I mean, we could talk about that. I don't know. I'm a fan of both Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston music. They're great. I mean, are they the greatest singers ever? I mean, I guess they are. To be honest, I guess they are kind of. But they do have some. I mean, Mariah Carey has a lot of like bad albums because she has a lot of albums. She has like 15 or 18 albums, and like I would say at least half of them are not that good. But the ones that are good are really good. So I don't know about like who should win more Grammys, Mariah Carey or Beyonce, because Beyonce is pretty good too. I do think Beyonce is a bit overrated. I'll be honest with you about. But we can talk about that too. It's just my opinion. I think she's a bit overrated with the whole, and particularly with the feminist angle. I'm like, I mean, is she really a feminist? I guess, kind of, sort of, but not. I don't know. I also. And then you go to Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston is also an amazing singer. I would say like some of her musical output, a lot of it also isn't that good. But the ones that are good are they're good. I mean, let's not have rose-colored glasses, right? I can acknowledge, like, I like Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston, but they did output a lot of bad stuff, just quality-wise. So you kind of take that into consideration too. And then Jeremy Barno says, I wish all historical movies showcase horrors instead of just slave movies. I know the slave narrative is getting, I mean, it's very important to talk about slave, but it's getting a little old, I'm sorry. And it's kind of to the point where it's like, okay, we get it. Let's like start like focusing on like new narratives that are like studying the through line, like what you say. Showcase other like horrors that are happening in the world. Than just a slave narrative. And then, you got these already great slave narrative, like Roots. Like you can just, I'm talking about the LeVar Burton. They remade Roots. I don't know why they did. Like there was no reason to remake Roots except for just maybe a cash grab. Maybe that's what that was about. Because I'm like, there's really no reason why that you should I mean, that Roots, the original Roots movie, it's with LeVar Burton and like all these other actors, is pretty amazing. I mean, that's, that stands the test of time. Right? You don't really need to make a new one, and you got all these really good ones already that you could just show people. So I don't know. And then I like that Denzel movie Glory though. It's a great movie actually. That regiment was hard as hell, along with all the other regiment of the U.S. colored troops. That's a history they like to leave out for some reason. Yeah, no, it's true. Glory is an awesome movie. I like that movie too. It's a side note though. To be honest, it is totally my fault. It's my fault. It's my fault. It's hard for me to like take that movie like too seriously. It's a great movie, but the problem is the main character is like Ferris Bueller. I forgot the actor's real name. It's like, so I'm seeing this. He's the captain, right? It's Ferris Bueller, and it's just totally me. It's just my. See, this is the problem. Like my actors, they get typecast. But the actor that plays Ferris Bueller, he's an awesome actor. I mean, incredible actor. But I'm not putting any fault on him. I'm just seeing like every time I watch Glory, I'm just thinking like, why is Ferris Bueller, like commanding this regiment of civil rights colored soldiers? Like, what? I just don't understand. So it's like, because I love Ferris, but that's a movie that should win Oscar. Like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, like that's Oscar. That's one of the greatest movies ever made, in my opinion. I like and a lot of it has to do with the performance of the actors. Right? But yeah, Glory is awesome. You got Morgan Freeman's in Glory. He's good. You got all these other actors. And they do a very good job. It's a great movie. I'm just saying, like, why, like, so Denzel Washington played many roles, but the roles you gotta put for him to win an award are like the stereotypical role. I don't know. I'm just saying, and that's not to say that role was not good and not. It was his story. I'm just saying, like, why? What can't you give him some love for like other roles where he did a good job too? It's like, but it doesn't fit into the box of the black actor, right? That's expected of the black actor. That's all I'm saying. That's the problem, right? Jeremy Borno says Beyonce's music ain't better than Carrie's and Houston's either. Yeah, I mean that's subjective. One could argue. Yeah, that's debatable. That's I don't know if I would almost say like it's about like the same level. I know maybe you do. I mean that's debatable. I don't know. I think that's a bit subjective, a bit too subjective. Like, yeah, because Beyonce is a very good performer. I'm not taking that from her. She's a very good performer, and I Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey are also very good. They're top tier. They have God-like type vocals. It's true. It's just hard because Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston have come out with some like trash, in terms of like quality. They come out with some really good. It's just hard for me to dismiss like Glitter, Mariah Carey's Glitter. She blames that because I think it came out around the time 9/11 happened, and she blames like, yeah, that's why that album's like, no, Glitter sucks because that was just a bad album. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sure it probably would have gotten more sales if the 9/11 thing didn't happen, but yeah, no, that was just a bad album. So, and there's a few of those. I mean, there's more than one. It's like maybe 5 or 6. They're just like, wow, this album is like not that good. Whitney Houston too. I remember she came out with like one of her later albums, which was like, yeah, this isn't really all that good either. But the bangers are great. The bangers are great. I would say like Beyonce has better like output. She has better consistency and quality. I would say I would give her that over Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston, for sure. Now, like, you put the best Beyonce song next to the best Mariah Carey or the best Whitney Houston. Yeah, no, Beyonce can't hold a candle to them. But I mean, that's like, like in my opinion, like, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, I mean, they have like God-like vocal cords. So that's a high-ass bar. I would consider it an insult at all for any singer to be like, yeah, I can't match that. So that's not a snuff on Beyonce, but yeah. They found like the only white abolitionist in the North to command the regiment, and we out here calling him Ferris Bueller. I know, right? That's all. So I saw Glory in school. They showed it in like high school. I think it was high school. It might have been middle school. And like, yeah, watch this movie and like write a report about it. And I was watching as a kid. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's Ferris Bueller. I'm pretty sure. Is that Ferris? But yeah, no, the historical man that he plays is very important to history. That's for sure. And also, no knocking. That's a me problem because the actor did a great job playing the role. Blaming 9/11 for a bad album. Yeah, she does. She blames 9/11 for that. And I'm like, no, Mariah, no. that was just a bad album. I'm sorry. But yeah, and so what happens, right? But like what Jeremy is saying, like a lot of people just are not caring about these award shows. The award shows, they're famous for now they're getting they're starting to pay attention to the ratings, and it's like historically low ratings because less and less people are watching them. Right? And that makes sense because less and less people are taking them seriously. So yeah. And Pelican says, we watched Glory and a kid got suspended for yelling, "Take that, cracker," after Denzel Washington killed him. Wow, they suspended him? See, I went to a ghetto school where it was like mostly people of color, blacks, and so we could say that kind of stuff. I think my high school had like no white people. Like the one I went to, I was in the ghetto. I think, yeah, I remember like maybe one or two white kids, but the majority was black. So we could say like that kind of shit and nobody would care. I mean, even our teachers were we had no white teachers. So that's fine. But that's crazy. Take that. I don't know. Yeah, I can't. I mean, I would, if I was sitting in class and somebody said that, I'd be like, well, okay. I mean, we just play it. It's a joke. That's too bad. They're like probably like, sit down. This is a very serious movie. You gotta take this very seriously. They probably would have suspended me because I was laughing too much. Like this, you're laughing at this very serious movie. He is not Ferris Bueller. For me personally, I just think so-called artists nowadays don't make songs, films, shows that last because of social media and corporations. Well, yeah, the mainstream ones. But we got a lot of great indie and alternative and underground artists that are killing it. They just don't get no attention. And honestly, like, the social media is helping them out a lot. That's some of the only ways they're able to, like, get their names out. Like, so, that's the thing. Like, if you're following what these award shows deem as artists, then they're not. Most of that is trash, honestly. But if you're just following like artists that aren't noticed by these award shows, there's a lot of great artists today that use social media, and they're making some really like in-depth, thought-provoking, very good artistry. And so that's another one of my pitches. Like, we should look outside the award show framework to see good quality stuff. Corporations are also to blame for pumping out fast trash, and that's always been the case. That's true. That's always been the case. They aren't always Pelicans. Aren't always the biggest albums, but there have been some great records lately. Oh yeah. Floating Points. I like Floating Points. I listen to Floating Points. Doing that record with Pharoah Sanders was incredible. I have actually not heard that one. Let me definitely check that out. Yeah. No, that's some great musicians. Like Floating Points. I dig Floating Points. There's all types of artists that are like coming out with awesome stuff. You just don't hear about them because, you know, the big name corporations don't pay attention. They're not backing these people. So yeah, just you gotta have to go outside that. You know, take for example, really one of the hugest artists out today. I mean, let's look at the biggest artists out today. You know, and all of them suck. But I guess that's you know, I guess maybe not had always been the case, because sometimes, yeah, I think, like, you know, when Motown was big, yeah, those are some some good ones. Yes, yeah, that, you know, or even like the classical musicians like Beethoven, Mozart. I mean, they were, you know, sometimes the really popular artists are coming out with some really incredible art, but you know, we do live in an age where that's just not happening anymore. And listen to that record. It's the London Philharmonic. Okay, let me just bookmark that right now. Bookmark that. Floating Points. And okay. Is it okay? The whole album's on YouTube. Excellent. We'll just pause that and I'll listen to that later today. Cool. And, yeah, but that's not a new phenomenon. You know, I mean, it's amazing. Like, for example, like Taylor Swift. Like, my God, like, she's so popular, and she's like the new Elvis, basically, or the new Frank Sinatra. She's like really, where is like, well, were these, you know, were these quality? I mean, Elvis was, I mean, he had some, I mean, you could argue to say like, well, he did things a little differently. He shaked it up, but he also copied a lot of like black artists, right? Like, he kind of like borrowed, you know. It's hard to, you know, some people will throw out or plagiarize, which might be applied, but, you know, I mean, oftentimes he did credit the art, you know, the musicians. It's just, you know, he'd credit them in passing. He didn't like put them in the forefront. So there's that. But yeah, Taylor Swift, she just comes out with music that are just about her ex-boyfriends, right? That's basically the music. That's her whole. That's all she sings about. And I'm like, man, I've never seen like a person so successful off singing off their just exes. Like, that's all she does. It's actually pretty incredible. Like, it's like, it's funny because I know like Swifties, and they'll pay like, you know, they'll pay $2,000 for a ticket and shit. I know people who've done that. She did one, and she did a concert in Nashville, and it was like postponed for like 4 hours, I think, because it was raining. And they waited for it, and so she finally performed, which was, you know, good on her for performing. And I think the concert went on for like 2 or 3 hours, and it was over at like 3 a.m. or something. Everybody was like soaking wet, and that's cool. But it's like, damn, I just her music doesn't speak to me. She ain't as big as them. She's pretty damn big. I don't know. I think she's pretty big. I don't know. I think she's at that level now. I mean, I don't know. Like, she's pretty. You know, I mean, she's huge in terms of like what people will pay to see her. Like in the middle of like a downward economy. You know? not at the level of Tina Turner, who actually sold out always. Yeah, but Taylor Swift sells out. Right? Hey, but of course there's no comparison between Tina Turner and Taylor Swift. I mean, in terms of quality, that's like night and day. Like, I'm with you there. But in terms of like just sheer commercial output, Taylor Swift sells out concerts, like arenas and stuff. She's outselling. Well, she's matching their numbers for sure. Honestly, she probably is like. I don't know. I haven't seen the numbers, but I know. We live in a world where more people have access to going to concerts and things like that. So, that's another thing you have to. I wouldn't be surprised if her numbers were higher than Elvis, but you also have to take into consideration how many people were going to concerts back then, as opposed to now. So you gotta factor that into. But no, she and for the amount of money she charges for it's like minimum $200 a ticket, right? And that's the cheap seats, right? I've never been, but I know people that pay upwards to over $1,000 just regular general admission, not like VIP or anything. It's just nuts. But you have people like that, and Sinatra could be a real one though. He used to demand segregated clubs let in black folks, or he wouldn't play. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I hear about that, and he was famous enough that they would. Oh yeah. Yeah, he was cool. Sinatra was cool. He had a good voice. There was a lot of, I would argue there's a bit of bigotry. I would say, not bigotry, chauvinism, I would say. And I hear he also kind of he was charitable in some ways toward blacks, but then he was also kind of insulting to other, he would all, the black member of the Rat Pack would always be the butt of his jokes, and he would kind of use the whole black thing as he would say. Sinatra would say a lot of racist jokes he did that, but it's all a mixed bag, because he also did that kind of stuff too, where he'd be like, hey, I'm not playing this unless you get rid of the segregation. So you gotta look at the totality of what the guy was doing. But I would say he's not he wasn't crazy progressive, I would say. But he was a little progressive in some ways. And then more access doesn't equal bigger sales. Yeah, I don't know. To be honest with you, I haven't really looked into numbers of how much these people sell tickets. I just know I do know Swift numbers in terms of concerts. It's it's amazing. It's crazy. It's another world. So, I remember there was a time where people were concerned concerts are dead. Everybody's just buying records or just downloading music. Nobody's going to concerts. Yeah, that's definitely not the case. Just go to a Taylor Swift concert, right? People are just crazy. As you said, that back then there wasn't much access. That's actually a factor why Elvis and Tina are bigger than Taylor individually. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to really look at those numbers. But I wouldn't be surprised if Taylor Swift will go down in history as one of the most financially successful musicians of all time. that much is true. Which is true. And she has this huge fan base. It's it's obscene. But so you got that. But then you could talk about other really financially successful artists I guess he doesn't even go by Kanye West anymore. He goes. He's. I don't even think he. Yeah, for a while he's going by Yee. But I think he doesn't go by that anymore. I think he just goes by the artist, which is like, didn't Prince do that? Prince is another big artist. But Kanye West is another, in my opinion, highly overrated artist. Who I would say Kanye West is a great producer. He makes good beats, good music, but his raps are like pretty. Not only are they just like misogynistic and like anti-Semitic, like and abusive and stuff like that, but they're also like very elementary, I would say, and very like they lack a lot of depth, and they kind of focus on just like what they call it, access, or like over luxury and access to luxury and access to like money and power, and that's really like a lot of what he's rapping about. Which is, I guess that's kind of like a huge part, a huge genre of rap is just that, which is like, to me, not not very creative rap. And that's where Kendrick Lamar verges away from that. He kind of talks about like more like he talks about, he does a lot of social commentary about like society, and a lot of like consciously aware hip hop, which is that he's awesome. He's going to be playing the Super Bowl, which is cool. I probably won't be seeing it, but that's cool. And what's going on here? I feel like Taylor Swift's popularity is directly correlated to her relatability, catchy lyrics, which is a skill in itself. Yeah, just she's in McDonald's of the music industry, in my opinion. Yeah, basically. But the thing is, like, so I guess, I just don't get it, because I was like, because I'll give everybody a chance. I'm like, okay, let me sit down, let me listen to some Taylor Swift. And, I was listening to her song. I'm like, wow, like every song, most of her music is just about breaking up with somebody. Like, after a while, like very shortly, it's like, I just can't relate to this. I mean, does everybody struggle with like breaking up with their exes? Like, is that I guess as a common thing? I don't know. I don't think so. Like, I mean, everybody breaks up at some point in time, or everybody has bad trouble with relationships. Sure, but it's like, but what about something else? And then she gets all specific about it. It's like, I listen to her music and it's like, why do I know so much about her personal life? Which I'm sure she's glad, she's open. She's like, yeah, I'm an open book. I'll share my. I'm like, damn, I know, and now I understand you went out with John Mayer. You went out with the guy that played Loki. You went out with the guy that's played Benedict Cumberbatch. You went out with Donnie Darko. It's like, why do I know all this shit? Like, you went out with, and it just keeps going. Which is, people can go out with whoever the hell they want to go. I'm not saying, but that's all your music is like, can I get something more? You went out with Calvin Harris. It's like, damn. It's like, do I need to know like every single person you went out with? And it's like, yeah, I asked my friends who are Swifties, like, yeah, that's part of the lore. It's part of the Swiftie lore. And I'm like, okay. And I just don't understand how is that relatable? Like, I mean, I guess. Yeah, I guess I could see how like some people are like, well, I've been in some really lousy ass relationships too, but that many? Like, I don't think most people have been with that many people in terms of like. I don't know. I just I don't understand how her music relates to so many people. Like, I mean, it's catchy. It's catchy tunes. Like, if you're not listening to the lyrics and you're just kind of bopping, that's good. But the fans, they're not just bopping. They're like, oh, I see myself in when she broke up with Donnie Darko. Like I don't understand. But hey, that's just me. She's the McDonald's of the music industry. Yeah, I guess so. Why do you think mainstream rap is plagued by lyrics of lust and greed? Oh, because that reiterates the status quo. Like just like the Oscars do. It's the same song and dance. It's like, toxic masculinity, hyper capitalism, right? These are the messages that the corporations and the people in power want to drill into us, so that we're focused on those kinds of things, right? So of course, when people are like glorifying them, like that's what the corporations put on a platform, because that's their foundation, right? Like, oh, this person is about womanizing and objectifying women, and they're about getting rich or die trying, generating as much capital as they can, and we got to eat that up. I mean, that's why. I think Swift represents a youth, my generations, that are not taught to handle emotional baggage and relationship issues. Okay, maybe I'm too old to understand, but I don't think she's like that much older than me. But I guess I guess older singers tend to attract more younger singers. Now I'm curious, how old is he? Swift age 34. Okay, I'm 39. Going to be 40. So that's a gap. But it's not that far of a gap. So I guess that's 6 years. 1989. So is that? Yeah, that's the same generation as me. That's my generation. Okay, so I'm trying to think. The millennials, us millennials, is this the type of stuff is she indicative of the millennial generation? Yeah, just trying to think about that. And I guess the answer that's coming to my head is no. But maybe she speaks to Gen Zers, the Gen Z generation, more so. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, looks like we're going a little off topic, which is totally fine, but that just communicates like maybe we're done. We're kind of finished with the awards show discussion, which was fun. It was fun chatting with y'all, and sometimes we like to just not specifically talk so much about the Plato's forms or like Nietzsche's will to power, or Hegel's inverted world. Sometimes we'd rather just talk about more grounded subjects, but add a little philosophical analysis to it, and so that's fun to do. I see, my email is, fortunately, my email's kind of showing a little bit, but thank goodness I don't get crazy emails. So that's fine. And it's covered up, so it's all good. But I think I'm so boring. I'm like one of those people. If you were to go into my email, you wouldn't find anything worth noting. But that's not, it's always fun to do that. Yeah, I just noticed that because I was gonna say sorry about the camera, but that happens. Maybe my GoPro is, I got a GoPro 7. And I think it overheats sometimes, and it'll just shut off. And so I got bust out with my lower quality webcam, but I still was able to use my microphone. And so what you're seeing is kind of like the resolution of the webcam. Although I think it can get the aspect ratio higher, I just couldn't do it in time. And then you're saying, let's talk about will to power. Everything you just mentioned. Plato's Forums. Oh, you want to get more traditional? Well, if you want to, I mean, you could definitely check out my videos on Nietzsche, where we talk about will to power. But I mean, I kind of want to keep the live streams more light. I definitely do want to, because there's some Nietzsche texts I still haven't discussed, like the genealogy of morals. I'll talk about that one, and there was another one too. I forgot. There's like 2 that I haven't discussed, I haven't made videos about, and then we could talk about the will to power with those videos, but that's going to be down the pipeline. And then Plato's Forums, I'm actually reading another. Currently reading Plato's. What is it? I forgot one of his dialogues. I don't know. I'm reading his, like, not the Timus, but the. I have no idea where I put it. Let me see if I can find it right quick. Nah, I can't find it. Is it up here? I gotta track that book down. But yeah, we could, maybe my next video will be that. And then with the Hegel, the inverted world, I think I talk about that in like one of the. No, I think I intentionally skipped that because I think the phenomenology of spirit kind of goes into that. But you know, I like to skip over like philosophical ideas that are a bit too abstract, in my opinion, because I find like a lot of philosophy videos and just a lot of philosophers will sometimes dwell on like highly abstract topics, not to like say anything constructive, but really just to show off about how smart they are. Like, look, I could talk to you about the inverted world. Aren't I a genius? Is like, this is smart. I'm going to show you how to do it, but you might not be able to catch up. So, you know, pay attention. Is like, you know, philosophy, like a lot of my videos about text, I do skip over a lot of stuff because I feel like, yeah, this is a little bit too in the clouds, and I don't see how I can actually apply this in a constructive, meaningful like way that I can progress my life. Like, so I probably will pass on the inverted world concept, to be honest with you, because that's kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to start the Black Ponderer, because I wanted philosophy that was more grounded in like the actual practicality of reality. Or sometimes a lot of these other YouTube channels and other like YouTube influencers, they'll kind of go off on La La Land, and they'll be like, okay, you're saying all this, but how then can I apply this to my own life in a meaningful way? Antichrist, I definitely did a video on the Antichrist text. Check out that video. Yeah, I definitely made a video on the Antichrist, Nietzsche's, which is an amazing book. I actually, a lot of Nietzsche, like about 50% of Nietzsche, I disagree with, as I talk about in several of my Nietzsche videos. I'm not on board. I definitely, I wouldn't consider myself a Nietzschean by any stretch of the imagination. There's a lot of things I don't agree with him about, but there are some cool stuff. The Antichrist, I'm fully on board with that one. I'm like, yeah, that's some good shit. And the will to power, I agree with that concept. I think like, okay, this I can hop on board with. And I definitely see the will to power. I see that in life. Like, I see people expressing the will to power, and it's cool because if you can recognize it, then you're like, okay, now I can actually like respond to this, right? Because I'm seeing it happening. So that's cool. See, that's useful philosophy, and I talk about that in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, the video I made for that. If you would like to check that out. Confucius' views of stable governance. I think I talked about that in the analytics, I think it was, which is a text on Confucianism. I did a video on Confucius texts, And I talk about, so check that out. Just all you gotta do is like go to my channel, search Confucius, and you'll see that. The idea of woman as sexual goddess throughout history. I don't know about that one. Maybe like matriarchy and that kind of thing. That's got to go in the maybe pile. Talk about the personae. I don't even know what that is, to be honest with you. Talk about fallacy. Like, yeah, logical fallacy. That'll go on the maybe pile too. What is your favorite philosophy anime? That'll be, I guess there's two. There would be Ghost of the Shell, and then Evangelion. Neon Genesis Evangelion. Those two. They're awesome. I think it would be a good topic. Oh, you already said it. Ghost of the Shell, Psychopaths, Ergo Proxy, etc. Yeah, I could get into Psychopaths. I was trying to watch it and like, yeah, this is not, it's not tickling my fancy. But maybe I should try again. Persona. We met Persona. Like, what do you mean? Like the concept of a persona? Or are you talking about the, like, I don't think you're talking about the video game Persona, right? Like, video game franchise Persona? No, I think you're talking about the concept. Well, you know, I mean, I guess you would have to be a bit more specific. Cause, like, what about? Because I mean, what about the Persona? Like, or like, whose version of the Persona? Right? Like Freudian or like Jung? Like, Jung, yeah. Yeah, I have yet to read Jung. A lot of people are saying like, yeah, you're probably not gonna like him. So I'll check him out. I'll read. Of course, I'll still read them. But a lot of people are saying like, yeah, you know, based off of the things you say and the ideas you have, you're probably not gonna like Jung. But we'll see. Combining entertaining subjects with philosophy is the way. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I love Ghost in the Oh, yeah. I don't know. I feel like, I mean, I could talk about it. I feel like there's probably so many other YouTube videos that have done deep philosophical analysis on Ghost in the Shell already. I don't know what I could add to the table, although I haven't seen these videos. But in terms of Ghost in the Shell, what I love about it is this. Well, I'll talk about it right quick. Maybe I'll make it into a whole talk. But Ghost in the Shell is pretty cool because it argues, because there's this idea that technology is like making us less human. It's like, yeah, I guess it's transhumanism is like the philosophy, where like the Ghost in the Shell argues that actually technology makes you more human, right? We can use technology to make us further human, right? And you see that at the end where I forgot the person's the main character, like basically loses her body and just downloads herself into to like the I guess it's not even the internet, it's just like cyberspace. And she becomes like kind of this, she becomes like one with consciousness. and, you know, it's all like downloading your consciousness in cyberspace is kind of like equivalent to how like the whole Eastern like Hindu, Buddhist, like you know, meditation of like reaching enlightenment and like, you know, or becoming one with Brahman, or like one with God. And like, you know, becoming pure consciousness, right? And getting rid of your body. And Ghost in the Shell kind of argues like the way we do that, we can do that through technology, as opposed to, and I think that it's very fascinating because there's this whole counter argument that says, well, no, technology is actually making us less human and is furthering us away from humanity. But Ghost in the Shell argues otherwise, and it's kind of interesting because, yeah, technology has definitely made us more connected, but it also separates us. Yeah, it depends. Like, I'm able to talk to y'all on the internet. The internet, technology connects me to people that I otherwise would never been able to talk to or be connected with. A lot of my good buddies I would have never been able to, become friends with if it wasn't for technology, right? In terms of like the internet and mass communication. And then there's a lot of like things I wouldn't know. Like, there's a lot of wisdom and knowledge that I've acquired thanks to like the internet, right? For example, and access. Internet provides a lot, and also internet connects us to like ideas, like so Ghost in the Shell argues with that, and then you have the sequel, which I would highly recommend, Ghost in the Shell 2: Innocence, which I think people overlook that. It's a great. I think it's just as good as Ghost in the Shell, right? In terms of the philosophy behind it, because it talks, it kind of focuses more on like how we have this tendency to have like little dolls of ourselves, which is highly fascinating. It kind of like, because like the villains are like this entity that makes these dolls, these autonomous dolls, and he uses like the doll metaphor a lot to like highlight this human tendency we have to like have these little playthings or like these dolls. Like, it argues like that's why we have children, is because children are like our little dolls. That's why we have pets and like animal friends, because we want to have little mini versions of ourselves that we and like, it argues like we form relationships through like this kind of doll like interaction that we kind of like apply this. Either that you can even apply it to lovers, where like your lover starts becoming like this doll-like figure, and then it uses the word innocence. Ghost in the Shell innocence is like we apply this innocence factor to like things that we're attached to, and that's how we get attached to it. I mean, I liked Ghost in the Shell 2 a lot because it really dived deep into that, which is highly fascinating. Maybe I will make that. I'll have to think about that. And then you have Evangelion, which is an incredible, incredible anime, right? A lot of anime that a lot of people don't like, right? An anime that's probably played out, a highly commercial anime, right? The characters have become like commercials basically. Asuka and like Rei and like Shinji and all people just buy like merchandise with them, and then they've come out with like so many new versions of the anime, which I have yet to see. I haven't seen any of the new ones. I just know the old. I'm only familiar with the first series, but the way Evangelion to me is more just about like themes and concepts, and not so much about like characters. And I think the characters are just vehicles to push concepts and explain like philosophical ideas. So, I think a lot of people look at like these characters like, oh, Shinji, he's so cool, or he's so cute, or Asuka is just so cute and cool, and Rei is like so fascinating. It's like, and for me, it's like, but that's a way you can take Evangelion. A lot of people just kind of, they go that way when they watch that show. But I'm more like, well, no, actually, like, Shinji represents like responsibility, and like Shinji represents like this inhibition to like, I mean, there's so many things that's explored. I mean, there's that part in the beginning of the anime where, because in the animes, if you don't know, is about these little kids that these teenagers that pilot these large mecha bio robots, and Shinji, and so Shinji is like one of these pilot teenagers, and his father runs the organization that controls these bio robots, and they have this argument. I think this is the very first episode, right? So it's not like a spoiler. They're having this argument about like get in the damn robot, Shinji. Like get in the. He's like, no, I don't want to. He's like, just get in the damn robot. Right? And Shinji's like, why? Why should I get it? And the dad is like, Gendo. He's like, because you're the only one that can do it. He's like, well, I don't want to. It's like, just get in there. It's like, why? Because you're the only one that can do it. Right? And he says that in such a matter-of-fact way. And that's the reason. Like, why do I have to do this? Because you're the only one that can do it. So that's why you have to do it. That's why you should do it. And then he does it in this like really like nonchalant, stoic. Like, and so Shinji's trying to get like some sort of like justification or like, why am I special? And then he's like, you're not special. It's just that's just your role in this. It's like, yeah, but you're saying I'm the only one. It's like, yeah. Why am I the one? Because you are. He just keeps pushing it. And it's very similar to like the, I mean, this concept has been explored in philosophy many, many times. I mean, the biggest example is like the Bhagavad Gita, right? That famous Hindu like text with Krishna and Vishnu, Arjuna, right? Same thing. Arjuna is like, in this. I made a video about that too. Is a very popular philosophical concept that's explored in many religions and philosophical analysis, secular as well, where it's like, you just, because Arjuna is saying like, they're in this war, and Arjuna has to kill or has to go to battle and fight members of his family, and Arjuna's talking to Krishna. He's like, hey, I don't want to do this. And Krishna's like, you need to do this. It's like, why? Because that's what you need to do. Like, this is, and it's like, what is it? My purpose is like, no, it's like, you're the only one that can do it. It just is what it is. Right? So there's, the only choice you have is to just move forward. Like, there is no other choice than to just move forward. Like, so it kind of takes away this like illusion of choice. But you do have a choice. But it's the way we think about it is, and you would think like on the surface, you would think like, what is you're saying things that don't like, they're not really. You're telling me I should do it because I should just do it. It's like, well, yeah, if you really think about like, so oftentimes we get like in these existential crises of like, why is this happening, or why do I have to do this? It is like, if you just take a step back and understand, like, in this moment, you're the only one that can do this thing, right? So just go about and do it. It's like, well, it's hard, isn't it? But yeah, but the moment calls for you to do it, so just do it. Right? And it's high, but it gets really deep. And Evangelion dives really into that concept. It's highly fast, and I just like how Evangelion kind of wrestles with these concepts that have been wrestled with throughout philosophy throughout the ages. But anyway, like I could have several like hour-long videos just on the philosophy of Evangelion, because it's really deep. But I think a lot of people don't watch Evangelion with that in mind. They're just like, oh, Asuka's this hot teenage girl, and Rei is like this cute, and Shinji, oh, poor Shinji, he's just trying to make it, and it's like, y'all ain't even like thinking about the philosophy of this, and oh, that monster is so cool looking. It's like, but that's me. And then you say the concepts in the Matrix would make for an interesting discussion as well. Yeah, only the Matrix 1, right? Not the sequels. I recently saw the Matrix, the newest one, and I'm like, wow, this sucks too. Like, it's also not good, which is too bad. Matrix Revolution or something. I don't know. I forgot what it was called. The fourth one. And I'm like, oh, even this one. So I would just talk about like the first one. I didn't think about sentient AI, Blade Runner, Singularity. Okay. Blade Runner is also another awesome philosophical that I've had long discussions about. Blade Runner has so much philosophy. I haven't seen the new one. I hear it's like extremely good. But I should someday just sit down and watch that. But I hear that one's really good. But the first one, man, the philosophy in Blade Runner 1, like, we could have a long, maybe I should, like, maybe, yeah, okay. I would think about which one I'm going to pick. Of course, I guess, you won't be able to avoid the spoilers, though. So I love these animes for exploring human nature and philosophy in entertaining ways. Yeah, I mean, lots of philosophy. I mean, that's actually how I first got into philosophy, right? Was through anime. That was actually my gateway into philosophy. It was these deep anime. Like, it was Ghost in the Shell. I saw Evangelion later. I also saw Akira. Akira is, like, philosophical, too. That was another one I was just like, whoa. Akira is like one of those anime. I saw the movie, and I remember watching it as a little kid, and of course it's like highly inappropriate for a little kid, right? But I saw it, and I was just so fascinated because I didn't understand anything. I was like, I don't know what this is about. I don't know what the hell I'm watching. I don't know why these characters are even doing these things. It just went so over my head, but I just felt like in a good way. I was just like, wow, what the hell is going on? So it really captivated me to like, let me think about think deeply about like, why are these characters doing these things? And what is this plot all about? That's another great anime, Akira. It's got some really deep philosophy in it too. Make it a discussion topic. It shall be so. I just gotta pick one. Yeah, I just gotta pick one. I'm trying to think how I could vote. I think I could actually put a poll up. Yeah, I think the community tab thingy allows you to put a poll up. I'll do something like that probably. Like, which anime do you want me to talk about? That'll be cool. Okay, well. Yeah, I'll consider doing a poll and setting that up, and let the viewers decide. But yeah, I guess I'll check out here, and peace out and say goodbye. And thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me on this Saturday. For me, it's like Saturday night, so we just chilling. What about Cowboy Bebop? Yeah. Yeah. Cowboy Bebop is an amazing show. I don't know how much philosophy Cowboy Bebop has, so yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, Cowboy Bebop is one of my all-time favorite shows. Not just anime, just shows, period. Television shows, but I don't know if it's like highly philosophical though. It's more just like cool. It's got a great aesthetic. The characters are awesome. It's got good character development. It's got like a little like mystery. They don't explain everything to you, which is pretty cool. That they give you enough that you can work with. Yeah, the characters are very diverse too. Highly interesting. I mean, there's a dog. Like one of the characters is a dog, who's like a genius dog, and then you got this little girl hacker. I mean, the cast of characters is just all over the place, right? Very diverse cast of characters. Yeah, that's a great show. I don't know if I can have a philosophical discussion about it though. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I think I will check out here. See you next week. I'll probably put up some poll and announce it and all that. And I guess you got to hit the notification bell or whatever to know that it's there or something. So make sure you do that, or just look for it. Probably put that up there on Wednesday or something like that. Or maybe more earlier in the week. See like, hey, which topic would you like for me to do? And then I'll just pick the one that most people vote for. But until then, you've been watching The Black Ponderer. Tune in next time for more philosophical thought.